And we're back with the program. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Uh, we truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of great things going on in video games, but one of the highlights right now going on in the video game world is esports. And esports is really taking an upswing with all the great news and all the great things that are going on, especially right now with the Overwatch League. Overwatch, the hit game from Activision and Blizzard. Oh, excuse me. Activision Blizzard, Blizzard Activision, whichever way you want to say it. It's Blizzard's creation and it's doing great and it's done so well. It's actually become its own e-league with teams centered all around the world. And to talk more about the Overwatch League and its success in its inaugural season is my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend behind Star Wars Echo 3. You got to check out Star Wars Echo 3 today on Facebook because they do so many great things as far as cosplay and great causes for charity out there. He's also the star of Nintendo Quest, one of the best video game documentaries of the past 10 years. It's my good friend, Jay Bartlett. What's going on, man?
How's it going in Vegas land? I miss it.
Well, we miss you out here as well, but I know a lot of things are going great out for you there. And I just want to say again how happy I am for the things that are going for you in your life. And one of those things is your love for the London Spitfire.
Yeah, it's funny when they announced the league, because most of my buddies that play this with me are centered in our hometown of London, Ontario. So we kind of just, honestly, we like the color scheme, and I'm a huge fan of England and Manchester in particular. But we decided to all go for it. We all picked London because they started selling the team skins shortly for the characters. So we'd be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you faced us online and we all had like the London Spitfire skins for our characters? You'd be really intimidated, right? So we kind of just dove in with London, and man, they're crushing it right now. And it's really weird that I'm talking about sports because I'm not a sports guy,
but I think that's part of the success of the league is that they're treating it like a sports league, like a true sports franchise, as opposed to just regular competitions. Do you think that's what's bringing people in from not only hardcore gamers like yourself, but also casual audience as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool because, my wife and I, we tune in when the Spitfires play, and we like watching Dallas as well. They're pretty good. And we find ourselves kind of, tuning in and kind of sculpting our night, when they play, and when they're done playing, then we can play our own Overwatch kind of thing. And, I'm just, freaking out when they score, and when they're on the cusp of losing, we're on the edge of our seats, cursing the TV. So it's an experience I haven't had since I was a kid. I used to watch NBA all the time, but I kind of grew out of sports. And it's kind of cool to come back to that culture.
It is indeed. And the London Spitfire is doing very well right now in the Overwatch League. They're actually tied for third place in the league right now with a 10-4 record. Tell me a little bit more about what really fascinates you about the league and how you got really drawn in the first place with your love for Overwatch.
Well, because my wife is from the States and I'm from Canada, before we got married, we actually, we wanted to play a lot of games together online. We started with, Destiny a little bit. We did Friday the 13th for a month or so. And then I played Overwatch originally when it came out May 2016. And I got it, but I didn't really feel like playing a competitive shooter, and I wasn't really into it. So my buddy was selling his for $20, picked up the copy, absolutely fell in love with it. I kind of forced her to play it a lot. Now, now she absolutely loves it. She's actually playing it right in front of me right now. And then it just kind of spun there, and it's like every Blizzard title. My absolute favorite game of all time is still World of Warcraft. And there's something that Blizzard does with their games that is so highly addicting, but so incredibly rewarding. Overwatch is no different.
It sounds like it indeed. Once again, I have Jay Bartlett from Nintendo Quest and also as well Star Wars Echo 3. You got to check out all the great things going on with Star Wars Echo 3 on Facebook and all the great causes that they support. One thing I want to ask you about the Overwatch League is so far it's received an incredible amount of press and success as far as the league overall.
Yeah.
What do you think they need to do to take that to a higher level? And also, what cities do you think they need to expand to for the next season?
Of course, I would love to see Toronto or Ottawa, one of the big cities from Canada. I think would be great to be in there. A Vegas team, eh? What do you think?
I would
Vegas?
like it. You know, Vegas is doing so well right now in hockey with
Yeah.
their inaugural team, their expansion team, the Golden Knights. And I just see something as well with the Raiders coming in here in a couple of years that an Overwatch League team would be a natural as well, and a great expansion for a team that's embraced esports already for at least 2, 3, 4 years now.
Yeah. Some improvements. I mean, I do have a few criticisms of watching it. The casters are all great. The personalities are great. The players themselves, though, I think need a little bit of like PR training. You know what I mean? They need a little bit of coming out of their shell training because they all seem very. One or two of them, you know, XQC on the Fuel is really, you know, he's out there and his personality is larger than life. But a lot of the guys I like Prophet, who's a really killer Genji player. When they interview him, like he's very shy, and do you know what I mean? And when they come out for their intros and stuff, they're all kind of really shy, and they just go to their desk and sit there and play. I'd like to see a bit more personality, kind of maybe like wrestling a little bit, if that makes sense.
No, it actually does, because Rob McCallum and I discussed esports a couple of weeks ago on the Cosmic Crossfire. And I will be honest with you, Jay, one of the things we cited as far as a continued growth of the sport is either a great rivalry or a great personality the sport can rally around. I don't think esports truly has it yet, that enigmatic personality. I know there are attempts to try and seek out that character, but I don't think anyone has really embraced the role of taking it to that next level as far as being that superstar that has that charisma and outgoing personality that can bring in new audiences. I mean, there are individuals that people follow in esports that are truly the top players that people that did I come across okay?
I think you muted there for a sec, a little bit.
Okay.
You're good now, though.
I accidentally hit the mouse pad on this thing, so my apologies. There are people out there in esports that are the top players that people follow just by the sheer nature of their success, but none of them really have that je ne sais quoi charisma that gets them over the top and can really take the sport to the higher level. So I'm hoping that this new formatted style of esports with an Overwatch League can actually create that, you know, enigmatic player that people really rally behind, will really rally behind.
Well, there was obviously, I mean, you're following it. So there was controversy, I think, in the first week with XQC from the Dallas Fuel when he was caught saying whatever he was caught saying on his stream. I don't know exactly what it was, what's true, what's not, but he was saying some things that Blizzard didn't think were appropriate, and he was banned very quickly. You know, shortly a few days later, too, he had the Dallas Fuel thing on the bottom of his stream on Twitch and stuff. They made him remove that completely, so he couldn't be really associated. He wasn't allowed to talk about the league at all. So you want to have those personalities, sure, but Blizzard's not going to deal with any trash talk or any of that stuff. They bring the hammer down pretty fast.
They do, but I'm not asking some for maybe controversial, although as you and I both know, controversy does sell. As long as it doesn't go as far as into any type of negative, truly negative territory. Just, you know, friendly smack talk is something that can be appreciated, but it's just, you know, like in the NBA, you know, I usually correlate the two. The top players, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, they seem to have a charisma and something that people draw themselves into and create new fans from. If the esports and Overwatch League can create those type of player or players, they're really on to something that's really going to just rocket and take off even more than it has.
And I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, I think that you watch the in the Blizzard Arena and stuff, and I don't think the fans really quite know what to do either. Like this whole thing is so brand new; it's only a couple months old now. Some of the fans kind of cosplay a little bit, but they're kind of not too sure. And then when there's a great play, they kind of cheer, but they don't really go crazy yet. So it's kind of like the players, the casters, and the fans. They don't really know what to make of it yet. So I think it has the potential to be absolutely huge. Yeah, I would like to see them travel to different arenas. I think it would be cool to actually go to the cities that they represent. They all play in the LA arena. That's where Blizzard is, right? But I would like to see them travel. I think that would bring something special. You could have the home arenas, and the decorated with the symbols of the teams and such. So we'll see.
And that's one thing I wanted to ask you as far as the final question I have for you is that because it's centered in that LA studio, to me, it reminds me of the old days of roller derby, where it was just really centered around just a 1 or 2 arena type format, even though there was all these quote unquote other cities always coming in to visit the LA T-Birds and that storyline and whatnot, because roller derby was, obviously like professional wrestling. It was also, I would say, predetermined or very coordinated, things of that nature. Say what you want to say about it, but it reminds me of that in a way right now. But yeah, like you said, it's not predetermined at all as far as the outcomes, and I don't want to insinuate that part of it. But being in that environment in LA when you've got no road games, no traveling to other arenas, to make it even exciting, even more, that I can understand that. And the fact that it is in its inaugural season, I hope they build upon that. And like you said, go ahead and start traveling to those actual cities in which they represent.
Yeah, it would be really cool because I mean, when they play in the actual game now, they just have the one jersey, which I don't know if it's home or away. But when they play their games, they have, Spitfires have the all blue, then they have the white, which again, I don't know if it's home or away because it's all in the same arena, right? So you can see they're kind of leaning towards that. They've made a really sweet deal with Twitch too now, where if you take your Blizzard account and tie it to your Twitch account, every I believe it's every point or every map that you watch, you get 1 point that you can use towards spending on in-game skins for your own Overwatch account. So you get rewarded for watching it. It's really cool.
Yeah, and that's a great thing indeed, and that's a way to try and bring in the community that much more, and that's greatly appreciated by those who really follow the community and follow the world of the Overwatch League. Jay, I'll tell you what, it's just great talking to you with the Overwatch League, but there's something else I want to talk to you as well about. Once again, it's Jay Bartlett from Nintendo Quest, and also as well, he is part of Star Wars Echo 3. I'm going to have him talk about that here in a little bit. But there's a little movie that's coming out at the end of May. It's a little movie that you and I both know that's coming out, that's part of a great saga that you are so familiar with and that you love so dearly, the Star Wars saga. That's Solo, a Star Wars story. That's coming out for us here in the States on Memorial Day weekend. A lot of big numbers are still up in the air as far as how well it's going to do, because there's kind of mixed reactions on the trailer, kind of mixed reactions on the film overall. Obviously, the problems on the set with the changeover in directors and a lot of reshoots that were involved. In fact, they can't even avoid trouble when it comes to their posters as well, as I'm sure you heard about recently with the controversy as far as the possible plagiarism with the posters, accidental or otherwise. So I ask you, Jay, I'm excited for Solo. I really want to see it because Solo is my favorite character in the Star Wars universe. Right. What are your thoughts on the Solo film, and what do you think they need to do to get it across to an entire world of Star Wars fans that this movie really can be a big hit?
Wow. Okay. I remember the first morning when the Rogue One trailer dropped, and I woke up and I had a million messages and it was live, and I watched it and I was like, wow, that's really cool, and put my phone down or whatever and did whatever. I didn't feel the need to watch it right away. I mean, it was good, don't get me wrong, but it didn't grab me. So this is the second movie where it's not part of the episodes, right? It's not part of the saga that way. I absolutely, I loved the teaser during the Super Bowl, and then the next day we got the full trailer. I, I think it looks incredible. And what excites me the most is that so far, there's no talk about the Force, about the Jedi, about the Sith. It's another, like even Rogue One had that in there, right? But this is really, smugglers, the underground, gambling. It's a side of Star Wars that I really want to see. So I'm excited for that.
And I will tell you this. To me, it reminds me a lot of Ant-Man, because Ant-Man and Solo seem both like heist movies more than they did actual movies within that genre. So you could say where Ant-Man was a heist movie instead of possibly being a superhero movie in many ways, you could say the same thing for Solo. It seems in many ways like a heist movie as opposed to a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to kind of make up the story. Now I haven't read. Once again, I'm sure the whole synopsis is online. I have no interest in reading that, but it kind of looks like they're gearing up towards the Kessel Run or whatever, and that's the big focal point or one of the focal points in the movie. I'm really interested to see. At first, I said over the years, I don't know if that's a story that we need to be told. Han Solo, I think you got a pretty good idea that he's a pretty scummy guy. He's done some, pretty shady things, and then he met Leia and kind of straightened out, right? Then he fell again and went back to his old ways. But I'm really interested to see. Forgive me, the actor's name I can never remember who plays Han.
Aiden Ehrenreich, I think, is the best way to say it, if I'm not too far off.
I thought it was Alden something. Am I thinking of something else?
No, I think it is. Yeah, I think you may be right. Alden or Aiden.
I can't even remember his name, but I think he's great. I know the biggest critique I've read and seen so far is that people are like, oh, well, he doesn't look like Harrison Ford. He doesn't sound like Harrison Ford. Well, of course he doesn't. Nobody's going to look and sound like Harrison Ford, right? I mean, I think you get the idea. You see him, and that's Han Solo.
And I think the weirdest part about this, get this, Jay, is that Ron Howard is directing, right?
Yeah.
Ron Howard is directing an individual to play at the age of someone who he starred in a movie with back in the 70s.
That's right. That's crazy. Yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah. That's really, really cool. What about you? I know. Okay, so I'm going to hijack the interview here. You said that Han is your favorite character of all time, even above Luke. I'll forgive you for that one. That's okay. What were your initial thoughts with the full trailer? Now, not the teaser. When you saw the full trailer.
To me, I think it is the most enjoyable Star Wars trailer I have seen in some time. To me, it's like you said, I think probably the charm for me is that it is not seeing the same thing as far as the Force or Jedis or lightsabers or this or that we've seen all the time in the past few years. And even before that with the prequels, this is something that's different. I know Rogue One actually was kind of cool in theory as far as the trailer is concerned, because it was kind of different and off the beaten path in itself. But then, as you and I both know, spoilers here for somebody who hasn't seen it, it actually intertwines itself within the Star Wars saga, making it less its own movie and just more part of the actual consortium, the whole timeline and the whole canon itself. Solo, yeah, it's still part of the canon, but to me, it just seems like it's a branching off into an entirely different format from long ago, as we see these great stars like Lando Calrissian, Han Solo, Chewie, how they originated, how they came together, how they got to know each other, and how Woody Harrelson's character shapes at least Han Solo, if not the whole team, into becoming those bunch of rogues that we've come to know and love.
Yeah, exactly. And from everything I've seen from the trailer, it doesn't look like the fate of the galaxy rests in Han Solo's hands, which, Rogue One did have that. And it's just nice to, I'm not going to say it's going to be a chill movie because there's going to be a lot of drama and such, but it's really cool to see, like you said, another side of Star Wars. Now, do we need to see the Darth Vader cameo? I certainly hope not, and I don't want to see any of that stuff. It was really cool to see that in Rogue One, but looking back kind of now on it, it's like, okay, what's that turn off? Looking back now, the Vader scenes, they were cool, but I don't think we needed to see that. I think we could have just settled with Tarkin and Krennic and those two at each other, and that would have been enough. But I loved it. I loved it. But yeah, I will say that after our talk about The Last Jedi and the others throughout the years, I will say that Star Wars fans are some of the toughest fans in the world, if not the toughest fans in the world to please. They love to hate Star Wars so much. Does that make sense?
They do. They love it and they hate it. But I'll tell you what, they do come back and see it time and time again. But I am definitely excited, as are you, for Solo. I think it's actually going to surprise a lot of people when it comes out. Will it do the numbers that Star Wars is used to getting? I'm not going to say that, because obviously with all the problems and all the things that went on, and even coming out Memorial Day weekend, I'm hoping that it will do extremely well, but I'm not laying out, even I'm here in Vegas, so I'm not laying out those odds that it's going to go ahead and exceed even what Rogue One did, because I know Rogue One was the first of its kind, being one of those anthology type deals. So I'm here, and I'm going to say right now that I think Solo is going to be a success, but to the level of the other Star Wars movies, no. But nor does it need to be. I think it just needs to tell a good story and be a solid movie and be something that people want to watch for years to come.
Yeah, and I can really, this is the first time where I can really feel, how do I put this? I can really feel Disney's involvement in everything and how it's affecting it. As a Star Wars collector, there's one or two, maybe three waves, not even three waves of, figures before it's time for the next movie. The Last Jedi came out, we got a couple waves of figures. Now it's the Han Solo stuff comes out in April. It's like, well, there's so many more characters to come out from Last Jedi. We're not going to see that. It's almost at this point impossible to keep up with it. There's so much stuff out there, far more than there ever has been. So try to slow down on that too.
Well, I got my Solo shirt last week, so I am ready to rock and roll for late May when it comes out. So I'm truly excited to see it. Nice. Once again, it is Jay Bartlett from Star Wars Echo 3, and also as well Nintendo Quest. You can see you can see one of the best video game documentaries of the last 10 years. It's available now. You just check out RobMcCallumFilms.com, which is our good friend Rob McCallum, and you can see Rob McCallum terrorize Jay Bartlett for 2 hours in that film. And actually, it's very funny. It's very awesome to see, but there is there is some good moments in that film indeed, and it does tell a great narrative, and it does also as well, really has some great things going on it. But he did kind of terrorize you up throughout the entire film.
We were talking about that today because we were talking about the next film and his involvement with that beyond being the filmmaker. And he kind of said, well, Nintendo Quest, I had to be there because we had to get inside your head. So we knew what you were thinking outside of every store or every collector you met. Like, what's Jay thinking? I got to pull this out. Because it's, when you go into 10 or 12 stores every day and you come out and have to do an interview to a camera, it's like Groundhog Day, right? You're really starting to say the same things. And I'm questioning, like, this isn't entertaining. I'm saying the same things over and over again. So Rob kind of came there to pull out everything. I think he just wanted an excuse to be in his own movie. But
I think so too. I think so too.
He got on the poster, didn't he, that weasel? Yeah.
Yes, he did. And I have it signed, and it's right up there. Right up there indeed. And I'm truly appreciative for being as far as part of the Power Tour, and I will always be grateful to both you and Rob for everything that you've done for Game Source and now Pop Culture Cosmos.
Of course.
But one last thing, my friend. You've got a great thing going on with Star Wars Echo 3. I was able just to talk about it throughout our interview here about Star Wars Echo 3, but I just touched on it. So tell me, you are doing a great thing with Star Wars Echo 3, so enlighten everyone out there what Star Wars Echo 3 is all about.
Echo 3 was a group that was born out of my pure passion for Star Wars and coming to a point in my life where acquiring possessions and owning things started to kind of lose its luster. When we started to do a few events and you were starting to see people that were less fortunate, it really turned into I don't want to call it a charity group but we're there for people who need it. We've just become partners with the Children's Health Foundation in London, Ontario. Here, they're one of the people that are in charge of buying hospital equipment and taking care of kids, and they're on board with what we do now, so we can actually schedule hospital visits, which is very difficult to do, but they let us come in there anytime we want, and just to go in there and take those kids out of their pain and misery for even 5 minutes. It's a feeling I can't describe to anybody, but it's incredible. And it brings me back to my childhood when I first saw Darth Vader for the first time back in an old department store. You know, it was Darth Vader signing autographs, right? It wasn't David Prowse, it was just a guy in a suit. But how that made me feel, and it stuck with me my whole entire life. I hope that we can have that same impact on kids.
And not only do you do the hospitals and whatnot, but you also go to local area events. You also go to local facilities, and you guys are out and about as far as local Comic-Cons as well.
We are a group. We are not gatekeepers or elitists. If you want to help people in need, and if you have a passion for Star Wars, that's pretty much all I need to join my group. I mean, your costume doesn't have to be screen accurate. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want a rubber mask or anything like that, but as long as you have that passion, that's first and foremost what matters. And through my years of doing this, I've seen a lot of groups be pretty snotty about this kind of thing. And Star Wars doesn't belong to me, and it doesn't belong to anyone. It's there for everyone to enjoy. So again, we try to do a positive image and just make people smile. Simple as that.
That's awesome indeed. And people can find out more information on it today at Star Wars Echo 3 on Facebook, and also as well catch his great appearance as the star, even though he doesn't like me to say that. You know, he doesn't like me to tell him that he was.
I'm the star. I'm a star.
He's a star. Okay, 2 years have evolved. He's now the star. He's now star. He didn't like that before. But he is the star of the great video game documentary Nintendo Quest. You got to check it out today wherever it's playing, and you can get all the info on where it's playing at robmccallumfilms.com.
And I will say, before you let me go here, stay tuned, because Rob and I do have a special announcement in the next couple of weeks. Actually, it's coming real soon. So
yes, I know Rob has dropped hints on it as far as in our Cosmic Crossfire. So I know him and you as well will be making major announcements on that new project very soon. Jay, I'll tell you what, it's always a great pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and it's always it's always just such a pleasure having you part of the pop culture cosmos.
Thank you for having me, Gerald, and anytime, brother, just give me a call. I'll be here.
You got it, my friend. And again, as always, it's great having you on the pop culture cosmos.